How much do you know about the Moon? It's a satellite of the Earth, or that it revolves around it. What if I told you that you imagined the Moon to be different than it is? Today, I'll tell you what the Moon is really hiding, and whether or not there were UFOs on it. The Moon has fascinated and attracted people since antiquity. For many thousands of years, it has been a source of inspiration, and the number of myths, legends, and fantasy novels devoted to it has surpassed all other planets, even the Sun. The Moon was worshipped as a deity, both good and evil. She attributed a great many magical properties, and the full moon associated with the power of dark forces. Sonatas and poems were dedicated to it. Indirect but strong evidence of such an origin of our satellite are the lunar rocks brought by the Apollo 11 astronauts. They turned out to be very similar to the Earth's, but iron, titanium, and silicon contained in them do not oxidize in the Earth's atmosphere. Why? Scientists have tried to recreate the various conditions to which the lunar rocks could be subjected in the process of formation. For the Earth, similar samples subjected them to sharp temperature changes in a vacuum, bombarded with protons. The samples still oxidized. Finally, tried to bombard them with argon nuclei, and it worked. Iron, titanium, and silicon not only recovered, but subsequently did not oxidize in the atmosphere. So the lunar metals were hardened by the solar wind over millions of years. Metal films were most likely formed by the condensation of meteoritic material ignited on impact. It is believed that a Mars-sized planet named Taia, after the mother of the moon goddess, collided with Earth about 4.5 billion years ago. The impact was tangential, after which the cores of the planets merged, and fragments of their silicate mantles were ejected into space, where they formed the Moon. At the same time, Theia itself was absorbed by the Earth. Perhaps Theia was Mercury, which as a result of the impact lost part of its shell and was thrown into a close orbit to the Sun, where it lives until now. Many scientists agree that the Moon appeared as a result of the collision of the Earth with another object. The debris thrown into space could not fly far from the Earth, and merging with each other became larger. The Earth itself from the impact began to rotate faster, and the day lasted only 6 hours. As a result of such a rapid rotation on the Earth, raged terrible hurricanes. The Moon itself moves much slower than the Earth, making that shorter path in its orbit in 20 days. The ocean wave, raised by the Moon, is so large that it itself has an impressive gravitational force, and moving across the surface of the rapidly rotating Earth as a tide, drags our satellite behind it, accelerating its motion. Giant tidal waves created by the young Moon not only made it move away, they also gradually slowed down the rotation of the Earth, increasing the length of the Earth's day, and thus calmed the storms, making the planet's climate favorable for life. As a result of the collision with Theia, the Earth's axis tilted 23.5 degrees relative to its orbit. It's this tilt that gives us the seasons. If the Earth orbited the Sun in a straight line, like Jupiter or Mercury, then the entire planet would have the same season all year round. The weather would be as it is in the 20th of March and September, which would be a disaster for the temperate and high latitudes. Deprived of summer heat, they would be unfit for life and plants and animals. In August 1966, the American apparatus photographed the Earth's crescent from near lunar orbit, and in 1968, the crew of Apollo 8, flying around the Moon, took this famous color photo of our planet. Photos of the Earth have disproved the once popular view that the Earth from the Moon should look like a bright disk or crescent, on which you cannot see any outlines of land and oceans. Thus, Yakov Perelman, who died in Leningrad in 1942, the author of the famous Entertaining Physics, Entertaining Astronomy, and other books, wrote, "Could a lunar observer distinguish the outlines of continents and oceans on the Earth's disk?" It is a common misconception that the Earth in the moon's sky is something like a school globe. This is how it is portrayed by artists when they have to draw the globe in world space, with the contours of continents, with a snowcap in the polar regions, etc. Details. All this must be relegated to the realm of fantasy. On the globe, when observed from the outside, one cannot distinguish such details. Not to mention the clouds that usually cover half of the Earth's surface, our atmosphere itself scatters the sun's rays greatly. Therefore, the Earth must appear as bright and as impenetrable to the eye as Venus. True, on the school globe, Earth from the Moon and even from Earth orbit. Not similar, it is true, but still it does not look impenetrable to the eye. Small fragments of land and oceans are quite distinguishable even to the naked eye. Finally, in July 1969, a man set foot on the surface of the Moon. 3 American astronauts made the first flight to another planet in history and returned safely. Over the past half-century, this flight has become the subject of many myths and theories. You can find a lot of information on the internet about the lunar conspiracy, about the fact that as if a man has never been on the moon, and all that we saw, staged shooting, versions that the moon was aliens, and this theory safely coexists with the theory that people on the moon did not land on the moon, and even as if the moon is a ship of aliens who for thousands of years who have nothing else to do but to watch us. However, the authors of lunar conspiracy theories, for some reason, do not ask themselves 2 simple questions. 1. If the Americans landing on the moon is a staging, why didn't the USSR expose it? Didn't even try? Why didn't they report that the craft's flight was not detected? If the flight didn't actually happen, why didn't they send their cosmonauts to the moon and show that there was no American flag there when the Soviets had all the means to fly to the moon? 2. What reason in our space age to suspect staging at all? And could a man, having finally had the opportunity to actually visit the moon, consciously refuse such an adventure? All the facts that the supporters of the production cite as evidence, it is easy to find a scientific explanation. For example, the flag swayed not from the wind, but from the touch of the astronauts, which is easy to verify if you watch the video. Jumping, as in the movie John Carter, astronauts in oversized spacesuits with life support systems, of course, could not demonstrate. The starless sky turned out to be because of the short shutter speed of the camera to capture the astronauts themselves. And if the shooting was done in a pavilion, there is nothing easier than to add a starry sky with the help of high-quality photomontage or necessary decorations. Americans are not as stupid as satirist Zadornov portrayed them. Probably, it is easier for people to believe in something unusual than to check materials, footage, compare, analyze. Or maybe it's the other way around. People tend to cling to what is already known, to can't be, rejecting new things out of hand. Many people once looked at Galileo as an idiot. He claimed that the Earth moves around the Sun, when everyone could see that the Sun goes around the Earth. But if everyone always rejected the new, we would probably still be sitting in caves and collecting. There's another question people have been asking since the 1970s. Why was the lunar exploration program curtailed? Why until now, and it's already 2023, has no one gone to the moon again? After those Apollo missions? The answer is not so complicated. The space race of the 60s was not scientific, but political. When it became obvious that the USSR was not going to send its cosmonauts either to the moon or to Mars, the program was curtailed. Sending a man to another planet is expensive, and the probes were already coping well with their missions, transmitting a lot of information to scientists. Astronomers apparently became more attracted to the study of more distant space. After all, It is known that the moon cannot be considered as a planet suitable for life, but only as a base for sending ships somewhere far away. Now let's figure out if there are aliens on the moon or if there are UFOs at all. In the network was published posted video with a UFO ordinary TikToker. In this video, quite clearly visible, see below, as a large object separated from a smaller one, as if it is a landing module on the moon and landed on the backside of the Earth's satellite. Or maybe it is. Very mysterious objects indeed. What could it be? Let's try together to understand this mystery of UFOs near the moon. I will express my opinion in this video, and you in the comments, dear viewers. In the network heated argument, so the question. Someone suggested that the operator could have used a Nikon Coolpix 1000 to shoot the clip. Some TikTok users speculated about the objects, and one of them wrote that the moon is a space station used by aliens. By the way, UFOs on the moon and in the moon's orbit are not so rare. Here is, for example, one of the UFO images taken by Americans from the surface of the Earth's satellite. So, what do we see in this video? Really spaceships from alien civilizations? NASA, ESO, JAXA, and the Canadian Space Agency, who are collaborating on the Artemis program, have so far refrained from commenting. Maybe we've been sneaking around, both jokingly and seriously? Or the Chinese? Or did the aliens need something on the moon? Or did the AI work, and it's a computer montage? Yes, a mystery. We can still assume that this is a spaceship and shuttle designed to land on the surface of a satellite or planet. But whose ship is it? If we, Earthlings, do not possess these technologies yet, or we do, but the general public is not told about it, they hide it, then probably these objects are of non-terrestrial origin. It is assumed that they, aliens, come from some other star system. It is logical to assume that for long-term observations and regular visits to Earth, they need to have a working base in our system. Naturally, considering this plane of the question, the invisible side of the moon would be the best place to set up a secret outpost. A place where not only you can rest after a flight from another galaxy, but also the closest base to Earth. And so, in my opinion, all these pictures can be fake to gain views and fame, or still aliens exist? Subscribe to the channel, put a like, write your opinion about the video, and wait for new and useful videos about space on the channel. Bye.